We recently had a question about North Carolina regulations around charging fees. So we want to tell you our understanding of those regulations and what Jenesis can do to comply with those regulations. There are really two specific things about fees. Number one is if your agency charges fees of any type, like a payment fee or NSF fee, that kind of thing, then you must post a sign in your agency visible to your customers that you charge those fees. So you can have that sign printed, however you'd like to do it. If you go in Jenesis to Control A for agency setup, go to the fees tab, and if you enter the fees that your agency charges, there's some standard fees here, and then of course this is really credit card fees that you can label it how you want to, and you can of course label these custom fees over here as well. But if you enter your fees, then you can click on the button that says Fee Notice, and what that will do is just create a document for you that you may want to print and post in your office. That could go, a lot of agencies put it in one of those plastic sign holders that will sit on the counter, or you could get something hanging on the wall. Of course, you can have something a little fancier printed if you like, but that is there. So that's one thing you have to do in North Carolina is post the fees that your agency charges. Now, the second thing is that you have to print and get a customer to sign consent every single time that you charge that customer a fee. So you have to have it posted in the office, and every time they pay you $3, $10, $100 for a fee, they have to sign that they see that's what they're paying for, what that fee is called, how much it is, and then the general statute language where they sign to consent. Now, that's only at the time of receipt. So in Jenesis, there are a couple things you can do there. Jenesis, if you have fees here, when you print a receipt, you may know that in preferences, you can have that receipt be portrait or landscape. So I'm going to do landscape for a moment and show you something. So let's start like that. And I'm going to just pull this out of my way because I'm going to come back there in a minute. Let me close just to make sure that landscape change saves. So then if I go to Donald Duck, and in Donald Duck, if I go to a policy, and then let's see if I have a receipt already there. Yes, I do. So I'm just going to use this receipt, I think. So here's a fee. So we've charged Donald Duck a renewal fee. So when I print that receipt, and I'm just going to show you what the receipt looks like rather than really print it. So here's the receipt. I'm going to view it as a PDF. Then it will print this. We said it was going to be landscape. So this is the part the customer will get. You or your team can sign this. And by the way, in a user setup, if you have your signature attached, your signature will already be there without having to physically do it each time. And then on the right side is your copy to keep. This is where the insured is going to sign and your representative is going to sign as well. Consenting to the North Carolina fee regulation. And here is that fee that they're charging, that they're paying for today. Okay, so that's them consenting to that fee. That's not a list of all the fees you charge. That's them consenting to that fee. The list of all the fees you charge is posted in your agency. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, I could have, let me do Control A to open agency setup back up. One of the things I could have done under preferences, I could have left that portrait, and it would have not printed, the page 2 is going to be the consent form, okay? Now, if you do like landscape, but you've been told by the North Carolina Department of Insurance, because this has happened to some agencies over the years, that they want you to print the consent form on a separate sheet of paper other than your receipt, then you could go here and print separate fee consent form. You do that, you just check that. Now the receipt's going to come out regardless of whether you have it landscape or portrait. It's going to print out the receipt, and then right behind that's going to come another sheet of paper that's going to be your fee consent form that the customer will sign, and you'll retain a copy of that. So that's either if you want to print it as a separate form, because the statutes do imply that they want that consent form to be on a separate sheet of paper, not attached to your receipt. But I've seen a lot of agencies still doing that, and typically the experience so far at least has been the department saying we'd like you to switch. So that's how that works. Now, one of the things that's confusing for some people is Jenesis has this other cool document. We think it's cool. That's the fee consent or fee coverage consent form. So you can either have this turned off, so to never print, or just print this document when you're writing a new piece of business, or when you're renewing a piece of business, or when you're writing it at renewal. Most agencies use this feature in North Carolina, and most have it set for both. And what that document does, if I'm here and I go to forms, now it will print just by printing the receipt, of course. But if you wanted to see what that looked like here, fee coverage consent form, I'll just view this as a PDF like we did the other one. Then it's got a section here. It would have your agency name here, and it's got the customer's name here. And for this example, I don't have Donald Duck with any data or vehicles, but it would have limits of liability in the vehicles, comp and collision. And some agencies will have the insured's initial beside these because you wanted to make sure, maybe even at renewal, that if they think they have comp and collision, but they don't, maybe they took it off and forgot, maybe it got removed for an underwriting reason, but they're consenting each renewal that they have this if they're renewing with you in the office or by phone. So that's the coverage consent part. But then this document also has, again, that North Carolina general statute language. It also has a list of all the policy fees that you have in agency setup on that policy fees tab. It'll have those listed here. So the customer, you're giving this to them at new business and or renewal, saying, here's the fees that we charge in our agency, consenting to that. Now, the part I want to mention is this is an extra document that is not required by the North Carolina Department of Insurance. What's required by the insurance department is the one that you make the insured sign every time they pay a fee. So this one is above and beyond. I think it's a good move for people to utilize that document and to for a little bit of protection and making sure we're on the same page with the customer on coverage, and then acknowledging the fees one more time as well. So I hope that information is helpful to you. If you have any questions, any feedback at all for us, please let us know. And thank you for your time.